Hello, welcome back to Buckle Up. My name is Rob Wilson and this is the Hyundai i10 N-Line, and today I'm going to find out if this is just about the best city car that you can buy. So let's start at the front as we usually do, where I will talk about the various different faces, more specifically two faces that you can get on the new i10. There's either this N-Line one, which is very sporty with its sporty daytime running lights in there, and you get these little red inserts, red across the bottom, very sporty. Or you can get the more normal version, which has got sort of four little hexagonal spotlights here, which is the only thing that I didn't like about the previous car. Was the little, looked like a head torch on either side. It was a bit weird, but this is much better. I like that a lot more. You've also got the new Hyundai satin finished badge proudly at the front, but that's about it for there. So onto the side, where we find that because this is an N-Line specification car, we have some lovely 16-inch alloy wheels. We've got an N-Line badge, we've got black mirror caps, we've got a contrasting black roof, and this is my favourite bit, it's got a red i10 badge. Yeah, red, sporty! Anyway, let's go and have a look at the back, because the sporty themes continue with some more red accents along the top of this diffuser, in which we find twin exhaust pipes. That is very sporty. You've got the i10 badge, the Hyundai badge, but under the black spoiler and the boot, we find a boot which has got 252 litres of space with the seats up, or 1,050 litres with them all down, which is actually really good. It's quite a square shape, but there is a bit of a lip to get stuff over. It's about that deep. But that's the same with all of its city car rivals, including the Up and the Aygo X. So let's go and have a look in the back seats, see if I fit there. Okay, so now I'm in the back seats, and let's first of all talk about space, because I'm 6'2" or 188 centimeters tall. This seat is set up in my driving position, and if I sit up straight, my head does touch, but that's the same with any of this car's rivals. This one probably has just tiny weeny bit more room than the Up, and definitely has more room than the Aygo. Also beats the Aygo on rear leg space, because I could, if I wanted to, put my knees inside the seat because there's some cutouts in the back, but I personally prefer to sit like this. In terms of features back here, there aren't any, so that's fine. I've got no seat back pockets, I've got no aircon vents, I have essentially nothing, but you don't really need anything in the back of a city car, so that's fine. I do have enough space for a, well, reasonably large bottle of water. Material wise, it is hard plastics on the top of the doors, but again, doesn't really matter. It's a city car, and all of its rivals have that same standard of interior. You've got Isofix, which is behind some zips there, and a little bit of red stitching on the outer bits of the seats, but that's basically it. So let's move up into the front and see what's going on there. Okay, so now we're in the front of the i10 N-Line, so let me start off by talking about this lovely leather steering wheel, which has got some fantastic red stitching on it because this is a sporty car. You've also got red accents on the turbine style air vents on either side of the cabin. You've got some red details on your climate control dials here as well, which is great. You got red stitching on the leather on the gear surround. You've got stitching on your seats. You've got a nice red stripe going up and down the seat as well. It really does help make this car feel more sporty, more special than the standard i10. I've also got some metallic pedals as well down here, which is great to see. In terms of practicality, again, that bottle of water fits in the door. You've got a glove box, which is big enough for things. You've got a shelf onto which you can fit your phone, and then you can charge your phone wirelessly on the Qi charging pad down in the center there as well. You do have a USB-C, a 12 volt and a USB-A port down there as well, but you can connect up your phone to the screen in the middle just wirelessly. You don't need any wires, so that's really good. It doesn't have sat-nav built in, but no one uses built-in sat-nav now, and if you do, I'm sorry, but the Google Maps Waze, even Apple Maps is better than what a car manufacturer can do, so just it's better. You do have a nice big digital driving display in front of me. It's not configurable, you do just have the speed and then the revs on that side, but it is more interesting than it just being analog dials. So that's about it for in here. Let's go and drive it. As you can see, it is a absolutely wonderful summer day here in Britain, so if you can hear the rain smashing into the windscreen, I apologise. First things first, let's start off with the figures that are associated with this particular engine. So this is the top spec engine, I guess is the best way you can put it. It's the 3-cylinder, 1 litre, turbocharged, and it has a 100 PS, so it's actually quite sprightly around town. We've also got 172 Newton meters of torque, and that means that we can go from 0 to 60. My god, this rain is awful. 0 to 60 in 10.5 seconds, which is actually pretty respectable. Now, I have done a review of the premium version of this car last year, although it has been facelifted since then. So actually on this N-Line version, the main difference is I've got a fully digital driver's display in front of me, so I've got my speed on one side, my revs on the other. I've also got, that equally impressive is the cruise control, and I've got the, it keeps me in the lane when I'm on a motorway as well, so it will do the steering for me. I just have to keep my hands on the steering wheel. That is a feature in a very small, very cheap car. I just think that that's really extraordinary for such a small car. Like, if you'd said 5 years ago that a car the size of an i10 would have these sort of features on it, on any spec level, that would be extremely impressive to me. I've got heated front seats, I've got a heated steering wheel. It all feels really well screwed together as well. Everything, you know, there's no real rattle in the center console bit down there. It's way more premium than it should be. And speaking of things that are better than it should be, let me talk about the gearbox, because we've touched on this a few times on the Buckle Up channel, but Hyundais and Kias seem to have extremely good manual gearboxes regardless of what car they're in. So even the i10 and the Picanto have a really, really good manual gearbox. It's really positive action, it's nice little short throws, it's actually a joy to use it, and that is just such a nice thing to have in a car like this. You know, you usually think if you're going for a car of this size and price point, there's got to be some compromise, but it really isn't in the driving experience. It's as comfortable as you can expect any car to be in this class. It handles really nicely, you know, you've got a wheel in each corner essentially, so it's very nippy. Yeah, I'm struggling to fault it on the driving experience given the price point and the size of the car that this is. It really is that impressive. I'm driving this car around town today because that's mostly where these kind of cars are going to be used. So we're driving over potholes, you know, mini roundabouts, speed bumps, all of that lovely stuff that you have to deal with in towns and cities these days. But this little car really does soak everything up, and that is not a pun about the weather. The brakes are nicely judged as well, a little bit bitey on your first time using them, but you very quickly get used to that. And that little thrummy 3-cylinder engine, I don't know what it is about 3 cylinders, but I do have a soft spot for them. I used to have an Up GTI, and this is following on, I guess, in that car's footsteps, because it's got that, you know, turbocharged 3-cylinder engine, and it just, I don't know, there's just some sort of character associated with that engine. It just rattles about, and I don't know, I can't really explain it. It's just a really fun car. Visibility as well is excellent. I've got a good view ahead because you sit slightly higher up than you would in a Super Mini. So if you were comparing it to an i20, you would sit a bit lower in that. So good view ahead. Windows come down nice and low as well, so I've got a good view out the back. Great view, look over your shoulder, and you can basically keep going until the rear window touches, because it's got a pretty flat rear. But also this car, regardless of what spec it is, comes as standard with a reversing camera. Standard. I mean, these are really good little features to have, and this car comes with them as standard. Steering is nice and light, but it's still got feel when you do go on a country road. I have had this car for a week, so I've driven it on all sorts of different types of roads. And equally, the pedals are nice and easy to use when you're going around town. The clutch is nice and light, easy to modulate. I'm currently sat at a set of traffic lights on a hill, and I'm holding it there on the clutch, no problem at all. I know you're not supposed to do that, but I'm testing the car. I should have my handbrake on, but these are the sort of things that you need to test. And despite the weather, this car is actually doing a very good job of keeping the outside noise outside. There's not much you can do about the enormous raindrops that are hitting the front windscreen, but if it wasn't raining, and it hasn't been some of the time I've had this car, I can tell you that the tyre noise and the wind noise is absolutely fine for this segment of car. It's not overly echoey or loud in here, which is really good as well. I'll touch on price as well, because this car, you can get it in a few different specs. As I said, this is the top end line specification. This one is just over £18,000, which sounds like a lot for a small car, but really it's not when you look at its rivals nowadays. It's a similar price to the Aygo, and that's got a naturally aspirated 1 litre engine with 70-something horsepower. This is significantly better than that. You can get this car from about £15,400 in this country, which I do think is pretty good value, because I think that Hyundai and Kia just do more with their interiors, with their cars in general, to make them feel that little bit more premium. This certainly feels it compared to other cars that you can get that are cheaper than this, like the Dacia Sandero, like the MG3. Another thing that's worth mentioning is that the i10 is one of the cheapest cars to insure in the UK. Most iterations are in groups 1 to 3. However, this N-Line is in group 10, so it is quite a lot higher than the other cars. So if you are worried about insurance, maybe look at one of the lower spec cars. I know we were talking about pricing as well. In terms of finance, I've played around with Hyundai's online configurator to get some monthly figures for people, and so if I was putting down a £3,000 deposit on the car over a 48-month term, then the lowest spec car would be around £190 a month at current prices, and then that would go up to about £235 a month for this N-Line, again on that same parameters, which I think is, you know, that to be talking around the £200 a month for this level of car, I think that's really good value, especially in these tough times that we're all living in at the minute. Anyway, that's probably enough driving about, so I'll go back and do a bit of a conclusion for you. Right, okay then, that is the i10 N-Line tested. So, what do I think? Is it better than the Aygo X? Yes, it is. Is it better than the VW Up? Yes, it is. Therefore, is it the best city car? Yes, it is. I said this last time that I drove the premium one last year. The N line only enhances the things that I like about the Hyundai brand, all the sporty stuff. So yeah, obviously I would recommend this car. Definitely go and check one out if you are looking to buy a small city car. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. If you've enjoyed the video, make sure to give it a like, comment down below, but most importantly, subscribe and hit that notification bell to be notified every time we make an upload. If you want to support the channel, you can do so by becoming a channel member or buying some merch. Look, I've got some on today, isn't that fancy? But yes, thank you again for watching, and I shall see you next time. Goodbye.